Good morning, and thank you for coming to this press conference on gun violence in the city of Pittsburgh and crime. We are also Facebook Living so that everyone, our residents, can take a look at us and hear the full story, the entire story, as well as at this point we know that we are tweeting and all kinds of social media activities are going on. We welcome many of our partners in this community effort, in anti-violence efforts and initiatives throughout our city. The first person you will hear from is the Honorable Mayor William Peduto.
Thanks, Alicia. 2014, we started an approach to policing that was a little bit different than what we had done before. We gave the challenge to our police bureau to start to put together a group violence intervention program. We didn't call it that at the time. What we called it was police community relations. In 2015, we formally introduced GVI to Pittsburgh. And GVI has one specific purpose. It's to be able to identify the individuals within this city, being able to use predictive analytics to find those that are the highest chance to harm themselves or to harm others, and then to be able to intervene in their lives and give them other options other than just a life that could lead to a potential death sentence. Our officers took it upon themselves to get more involved in the community, to get more involved into knowing what was happening on the ground, and then to work directly with the leaders within all of our neighborhoods to be able to create new programs around policing. And it's worked. We now have tangible evidence by looking at crime statistics to show that there has been a reduction over the past 4 years. From where we were in 2014 to where we were at in 2015 to where we were at in 2016 to where we are at in 2017, and to look at this first quarter of 2018 and see that the number of shootings are down. The number of homicides are down. The number of violent crime acts in the city are down. And to understand that it is a partnership that is being worked through with the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and our communities, especially those most at risk. And understanding that instead of having patrols that saturate a neighborhood where the neighborhood already feels victimized and then feels victimized twice, we look for the individual person and we reach out and we give them an opportunity to change their lives. I'm here today to thank two specific groups. Number one, I want to thank the community for trusting and being able to work together with our police in order to be able to provide the vital information that is saving lives. You are saving lives. Number two, I want to thank the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, because all the way from the top to the officers themselves, this initiative would not work unless they were fully a part of it and leading it themselves. It's a pretty good day for Pittsburgh. We still have a lot of work to do, because as long as we have one homicide in this city, it's one too many. But the fact that we've been able to, over the course of 4 years, see a reduction on an annual basis speaks volume about the work that's happening within our community and within our bureau. And I'd like to turn it over to the director and the chief to talk a little bit more about specifically what that means.
Good morning. As the mayor mentioned, a lot of the credit belongs to the community outreach and GVI, especially under the leadership of Reverend Jones. But in addition, the credit belongs to the police officers from the top down. We're doing a 360-degree approach, as I call it, one of which is the preventive, which, of course, GVI, community outreach, the police officers going into the communities play a key part. But also, we are expanding the technology. Within the past month, Council approved expanding the ShotSpotter system and additional cameras for the city. The ShotSpotter program as we know it currently encompasses Zone 5 and 3 square miles. Hopefully by the end of this year, we will have 18 square miles covered in the city of Pittsburgh. Along with that, there'll be 15 additional cameras for each of the square miles for a total of 450 cameras citywide. In addition is the response. The response of the officers has changed drastically over the past year. The use of medical-saving techniques, providing the officers with tourniquets, have saved many lives and have basically changed what would have been a fatal homicide into just a shooting. The medics have also expanded technology and new methods of saving lives, which also has brought down the homicide rates drastically. I, too, would like to thank Family Life for their cooperation and GVI. Within the next few weeks, we will be talking about enhancing police involvement into several additional neighborhoods within the city of Pittsburgh. So on that, I will turn it over to Chief Schubert.
Welcome to Pittsburgh Police Headquarters. Thank you for coming out to this, because this is something that's truly meaningful to us. And one of the mandates that the mayor gave when he came into office was to change things, to change our community engagement and to help reduce violent crime. And it's been a very rewarding position for me to see that go into fruition with what the officers are doing. And there's a lot of people that have come together to make this occur. And that starts with our officers out in the field, the ones who are out there day to day working the street, helping to reduce crime, helping to reduce violent crime, and really to build that partnership with the community. And I'm forever so grateful for what they do and extremely proud of what they do. As the mayor said, there's more to do, and we are committed to doing that. And I just can't wait to see how this goes as we progress down this path to what I think is going to be unbelievable for the city of Pittsburgh. We also have to look at our detectives, whether in the zones or whether here in the building for major crimes and narcotics and vice, for what they do, for the role that they provide in the overall mission. We have to look at the various task forces that we belong to and that operate in the city of Pittsburgh, and our stakeholders in other criminal justice field who are here with us to help make Pittsburgh not only a safer place, but a better place than it is. We have a beautiful city, we have a great city, and we're all committed to making it even better each and every day. One of the things, too, is our specialty units. People don't often think of what they do or the role that they play, but they save lives as well for what they do, whether it's highway safety, critical incidents, with our mounted unit that we are now creating. That's going to help not just in solving crime or preventing crime or terrorism, but it's also going to help with that community engagement out in the field where the officers can speak to people. So I think that's going to help out a lot. Our commitment to community engagement, I think, is second to none when I look around. Is there work to be done? Yes. But where we've come to from where we were, it's incredible. If you don't follow our social media, please do. You can see all the work that the officers are doing day in and day out throughout the city of Pittsburgh and all of our zones. So please take a look at that. I mean, our commitment to building community trust is high on our priority. Not just our priority, it's who we are. It's what we want to project to the community and be a part of the community. So I think we're going to see great things with that as well. The director talked about the technology as far as ShotSpotter and the cameras. It all plays an integral part of what we're going to be talking about today when we get down into the numbers. Our hotspot that we're currently working with throughout the city of Pittsburgh has helped us by identifying predictive places of where things may occur and putting officers in those locations. All of that helps with it. The analytics of the information sharing we're doing, the data-driven policing, all of that plays into this, and then obviously our group violence intervention. Between the detectives that work it, between Cornell and our outreach, I truly believe it's godsend for putting this team together, because it's making a difference and it's saving lives every day. So they'll go into that in more detail, but please remember, it's not a program, it's a philosophy, it's who we are, and it's who we're going to continue to be. So I want to thank you for being here today, and let's keep doing bigger and better things. Thank you.
Good morning. I was wondering if I could get Family Life and some of our outreach workers to stand with me while we talk. So our rules of engagement from this point forward is we're going to look at a few slides. Commander Josephs is going to come after I finish. Sergeant Glick will come up and he'll give you the nuts and bolts of our initiative. And directly after that, Commander Joseph will provide the stats. So I'm hoping that my technology works for me today. Okay, so group violence intervention, and we're going to just kind of move right into what the entire mission is. Okay, you heard the mayor talk about that we wanted to do a new strategy. We wanted to look at something a little bit different, and we don't want to call it a program. It's not anything that we hope will go away. In fact, we've moved from strategy to a movement, because not only are we engaged with family life and outreach, we're engaged with the community. The community has fully embraced this initiative, and we're very, very happy about that. In the fall of 2015, we assigned a number of detectives to a unit called Group Violence Intervention, and their primary initiative was to dedicate investigative resources to non-fatal shootings. And not only did we spearhead that initiative where we pulled all the non-fatal shootings together, we also dedicated social service resources. And what we learned pretty quickly, very quickly, is there's a direct nexus between the nonviolent shootings, or the non-fatal shootings, I should say, and homicides. One of the things that group violence intervention really proclaims and embraces is that community, law enforcement, and social service, that nexus, that social service providers, the principles of the Group Violence Intervention Initiative has demonstrated that violence can be reduced when there are strong partnerships between the three: community, law enforcement, and social service entities. How it works and what the basics of it is, Sergeant Glick will probably come up, and like I indicated, he'll give you the nuts and bolts of the entire strategy. But what we actually look at is what we call ARGs, at-risk groups. We don't put anybody on a list, but there are groups of people. The police and the community communicates a moral message against violence. We utilize the efforts of course, as we have up here, Reverend Cornell Jones and the outreach team, and they do a stellar job at that. We give notifications to the at-risk individuals, and how we do that is through custom notifications, and we're going to move on to our call-in, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But our primary effort is a genuine offer to these young people that are involved in group violence or involved in gun violence, is to help those understand that we want you to leave that lifestyle, and that none of our young people are lost. We can give them a way out of victimization and, of course, criminal activity. The primary goal of group violence intervention movement is to ensure that young people know that we all want our youth to have opportunities to stay alive, free from incarceration, and ultimately with the correct guidance and support and wraparound services, social service entities that wraps around as far as providing them services, that they can be successful. The community, police, and social service entities want our young people to be contributing citizens to our community. And one of the things that we want to make sure that, and as the mayor had definitely indicated that this is not just a initiative or a strategy that's right here in the Investigations Bureau. This is a bureau-wide effort. Group violence intervention is bureau-wide strategy. Therefore, all the members of the Bureau of Police are stakeholders in this initiative. Operations, patrol, the 90 officers, the plainclothes detectives, the CROs, NROs, they are the lifeblood of this initiative. And the reason that I emphasize that is because they are our first responders. A lot of times the officers are the first on the scene. They gather all the evidence. They know what's going on. And of course, the detectives come to support that initiative. There is a drug nexus to about 85% of all the crime that occurs in the city of Pittsburgh. The detectives in the Narcotics and Vice Squad is the linchpin to solving a great deal of our drug-related offenses. Narcotics investigators are in charge of the enforcement action details that result in the arrest of our non-compliant at-risk group members. Narcotics and Vice do an amazing job, and the Bureau of Police and I, as the Assistant Chief of Investigations, appreciate their efforts. I also want to move on to talk about technology, and of course the mayor did talk about that to some degree, but technology has played an essential role in the Bureau of Police crime reduction efforts. Therefore, I wanted to recognize the outstanding work that our computer crimes detectives has done throughout this year and in preceding years. And also I wanted to recognize the superior investigative efforts of the detectives who are assigned to major crimes and has a lot to do with, along with patrol, our reduction in crime. There's also another group of people that need to be recognized, and that's our county partners, the District Attorney's Office, Probation Parole, the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office, and of course, there is a county initiative for group violence intervention, Dr. Hacker, that's spearheaded by Dr. Hacker and Ty Lee Thompson, and also in that group, there's the Focus Pittsburgh. Focus Pittsburgh is responsible for the trauma van that is deployed in our neighborhoods after a homicide event. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not recognize the federal partners, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, and our NIBINS initiative, Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, that does most of our drug investigations beyond the local level, and the Pittsburgh U.S. Attorney's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And of course, the overarching support that we get when we're looking for people that are at large from the U.S. Marshals. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our federal partners because they have definitely been a great support with the Group Violence Intervention Initiative. And to that end, once again, we go back to the paramount part of group violence intervention, and that is our community partners, outreach. And outreach is standing here with me. This is Family Life, and some of the volunteers that we have that help us with all of our outreach efforts. Without them, we could not move forward. They have been quintessential partners for our success in the reduction of violent crime. And at this point, Sergeant Glick is going to come up and provide the nuts and bolts of GVI.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Over the last 2 years, I've been the sergeant of the GVI group here at Major Crimes. Our task is simple. It's to reduce the violent crime within the city limits and beyond, concerning the group members and their influential people. The GVI strategy brings together community, outreach, and law enforcement to tackle this problem. Okay, what we do first, or first step, is we identify the at-risk individuals. Now, these people, through intelligence and other methods, we determine that these at-risk individuals are most likely to be involved in a violent crime. Once these individuals are identified, we do something called a custom notification. A custom notification is when we actually, law enforcement, along with outreach and Reverend Jones, will go out and we will have a sit-down face-to-face with these individuals. And what we do is we deliver a very strong message. The message is simple. The violence has to stop. The violence is not tolerated. The community, law enforcement, and everybody else in between doesn't want the violence. The message ends with the warning to this group, the law enforcement warning, that the next person, the next group member that commits a violent crime, shoots somebody, kills somebody, or anything in between, they are going to bear all of our resources from law enforcement on not only that person, but their group in total. And what this does is it focuses on just the at-risk group. Instead of an entire community, what we do is we look for just the at-risk group, the individuals that are identified, and we impact them. Now, during this customer notification, one of the most important things that we do is we offer them resources. We offer them something that we call an honorable exit. So if you want to break the cycle of violence and you don't want to live that life anymore, we have all the resources necessary to bring you out. We have a lot of great resources, and Reverend Jones has a wide-reaching area that he can assist with. So we always give somebody the option, whether it be in the hospital or at their home. Now, if that message is not received well and their violence does continue, we do our law enforcement action, which last year we had four times that we actually had to go to that level. Really, by the time we get to that level, everything else has been exhausted. And during the last year and a half, this method has proven that, without a doubt, that it reduces crime. And I think at this point, Commander Joseph is going to come up and give you some of the statistics.
Hello, thanks for coming today. I'm Victor Joseph, Commander of Major Crimes. Just going to get into some of the statistics from last year and years past. So annual total and year-to-date total of Part 1 violent crimes through the city from 2013 to 2018. If you look at the graphic here, from 2016 to 2017, we had a 12% reduction in total Part 1 violent crimes in the city. And if you look at the 5-year average, it's about an 8% reduction from the 5-year average. In our year-to-date property crimes, we have about a 4% reduction in property crimes, and we're about 3% below the 5-year average in property crimes. Our Part 1 crimes in general from 2016 to 2017, you can see the graphic there of the reductions. We have 19% reduction in arson, 12% reduction in vehicle theft. We're stayed about steady in thefts, 12% reduction in burglaries, 6% reduction in aggravated assaults, and that's not just including shootings, that's any type of aggravated assault. So that number is a little bit different than the non-fatal shootings we'll talk about. Our robberies are down 20%, and our rapes were up slightly. And murders down about 2% from last year to this year. Our homicides, our 5-year average, and our year-to-date numbers, we're pretty consistent with our 5-year average. We average around 58 or so homicides a year in the city of Pittsburgh, and our 5-year average is consistent with our year-to-date right now. An area of importance to us that everybody spoke of today, group violence intervention and all the other factors, our intelligence unit, our 90 cars, our narcotics units, our zone detectives, our patrol officers, our GVI detectives, our homicide detectives, all play a role into this, and this comes from the top down, the group violence intervention. So from 2016 to 2017, we saw a 26% reduction in non-fatal shootings in the city of Pittsburgh, which is a significant reduction. In year-to-date, right now, we're about 57% lower year-to-date from the 25th of this month to the 25th of March last year. So we're about 57% lower right now, and we hope to continue that trend As Chief Bickerstaff and Sergeant Glick spoke of, group violence intervention, we kind of started the framework of it in 2015, putting detectives in place to investigate non-fatal shootings. Prior to that, those shootings were investigated by zone detectives. We thought it was prudent to put all those detectives in the same room. Then we added our next component of Reverend Cornell Jones and outreach. Then we added family life, and Cornell Jones, he has a wide net of resources that he has brought to the table with us that can really impact and help young folks in their lives. So the whole GVI philosophy is it's a bureau-wide campaign, and it's going to continue. And we're happy for the success that we've seen so far, but we still have more pieces to put in place in our group violence intervention strategies, and we're going to continue going forward. Thank you.
We hope that this has provided insight as well as understanding of where crime and gun violence stands within our city, as well as all of the initiatives and the wonderful people that we work with on the daily to make things happen and get things done in our neighborhood. At this point, we thank our social media audience and residents of Pittsburgh for joining us during this time. And of course, we thank all of you for joining us. This now concludes our press conference for today. Thank you.